So today I'm showing you the only one in the world, a Lexus. When I acquired this car a decade ago, I noticed that the doors were on 18-inch hinges, and when you open them, they would open into the next parking space. So I got the kit to butterfly the doors, and you can still open and close them normally, but this is very convenient. If somebody's parked close, you can fly these doors with about an 8-inch clearance. It's also pretty cool. They tend to like it, the car parks. I've had the Lexus, as I said, for a decade. I've driven it about 65,000 miles. I knew the original owner. The door cards have been deleted for convenience because they were plastic and they were cracking, and you couldn't find aftermarket or new old stock that didn't crack because of the length. The aluminum can be left plain as I did, or you can wrap it. I also decided to delete the rear seat, as nobody ever sat back there, and just basically put hanging. Again, you could make a chaise, you could wrap it however you want to. It's just sheet aluminum. The joy of this car is really that it was the last phase of Celica, and that's the engine and drivetrain. But it was the beginning of Lexus. And their quality, they were trying to beat out the European cars. So the quality is unbelievable. You'll notice the two-tone paint. The original paint is lacquer. Lacquer paint, most of you who are in this realm know, is a paint that will frequently spider crack with age. So I had the car, in the second year I owned it, paintless, dent repaired. And where they did that, I started seeing very fine cracks. If I could show you one, I will show you. There are not many of them above. But the rock hits and door dings, all that got pushed out started to spider crack. So the option with lacquer paint is strip the car back to bare, which means taking it apart and media blasting, or spray over. One of my friends had an interesting idea. He said, you know, the fiberglass boats do the same thing. It's expensive, $300 to $400 a gallon, he said, but we could try the fiberglass paint that's an epoxy. It dries very quickly and it has give. So we did. We took anywhere we saw spider cracks, followed the shot lines of the car, and instead of painting the whole car blue or a different color, just did the main areas. It's 10 years old. This car hasn't had a detailing in 2 years, and you can see the water still beads. But the cool part about a Lexus is they were trying to capture the market. So they didn't use recycled Japanese steel. There's no rust. They didn't use refurbished parts. All the parts are new. And so when you look, you can see it's 90% original. You can see the color match coilover springs have been done. Obviously, brake pads and rotors have been done. Front end engine service, I've got 10 years of records. Leads, coil, all done. But the original power steering pump, the original hydraulic cooling fan, all of that still works. Every system on the car works, except I cannot program the traction control system. So the light does go on. The system still works, but it doesn't tell you it's going to work. The headlights, as you saw when they started, are color matched. The brights were updated to LED. The original package was white with gold. I chose to trade over, when I was doing the painting, to the silver package. The original quartering lamps were incandescent, so I added LED at the bottom. The original wheels are aluminum. These are just over the aluminum, powder coated in gunmetal. And the upgrades are pretty simple on this car. To give it all the things the modern cars have, I swapped out the original Levinson stereo for a very nice Kenwood. And the Kenwood has everything that you want. I've got the Alpine amp in the trunk. You've got Bluetooth, you've got Pandora, and you've got, as you can see, disc, radio, iPod, AV access, navigation, phone, Cirrus, Pandora, second AV input, backup camera, and of course smartphone. You have a subwoofer that you can individually program, that's the SWC. And I decided, just because I hadn't done the dash initially, that I would give it, in addition to navigation, a little extra feature. And that is a pop-up dashboard, which came in quite handy because I sent out the climate control computers, you can see, and I sent out the dashboard for full refurbishment and matching to the color. Again, if you don't like my choice of color, you can always respray these and cover the doors to match. This has been a daily driver car, except in snow and ice, which is about 10 weeks a year in Chicago. For the last decade, it has never stranded me. It's a fantastic vehicle. But, as you can see from the filming, I'm down to 2 cars, and I got 4. So, time to move on and give it to somebody else who wants a great... It's not a sports car. This is a true grand touring car. You can drive this car for 8 or 10 hours, get out, your back doesn't hurt, etc. And, as you see, it has all the features it originally had with appropriate upgrades. The only thing different from original is the stereo system, with which I was able to add a lot of new features. So that's a Lexus.